Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Well, good evening and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Trackside. I'm Terry Turner. Right there is Randy Dye. Randy, you doing okay?
Doing good, man. Moving and shaking. Lots going on, but it's a crazy time of the year. You know what's going on here is they obviously for the Xfinity Series, this is the last regular season race, and the only way that obviously the 10 can get in is to win. So you got that, and then the playoffs are in front of us, and then but at the same time, we're working on next year already. So I say already, I feel like we're behind. But many different plates spinning. Let's put it that way.
Well, we're going to talk about one of your plates spinning here in just a minute. But meanwhile, Randy, a lot of times we recognize people that we lose in NASCAR, and it's tough to lose people, but sometimes we gain people, and this is some really good news. I'm a fan of Brad Keselowski, and he's still doing great, and a big part of the team. I know he's going to be a bigger part as the future goes on. But Brad and Paige Keselowski are parents for the fourth time. He announced the birth, Brad did, of Sterling Robert on Tuesday, September the 2nd. So Sterling, I wonder where he got that name, Randy.
That's interesting.
Sterling joins Scarlett, Autumn, and Maisie. So congratulations there. Good stuff.
I'd be curious to see if there's any connection to Sterling Marlin, but Sterling. It was Sterling Marlin, but I don't know. But congratulations either way. That's great.
Exactly. They got lots of plates spinning with 4 kids, I'm sure, Randy. Plus racing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk one of your plates that are spinning. I sent you this morning a walk that the Craig Flagler Palm Calendar is going to do, supporting the 988 Lifeline, and you obviously are heavily involved in that, and you got an event of your own coming up. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, we've the Race to Stop Suicide does a lot of different things. I mean, we have things called March to Stop Suicide. We do, we do programs. We do speaking engagements. We had a really cool event at the end of August down at the Kennedy Space Center. And then Monday, this just a few days from now, because it is 9/8, we'll be having an event here at the dealership for our employees who choose to be involved. Just an activity that will last for the 9 minutes and 8 seconds, and to call attention to all of this. There's so many different options and alternatives to deciding that you don't want to be here anymore, and we want to make sure people know where to reach out to get help if need be. Not only if you have need the help yourself, or if you need to be able to help somebody, that's important. I think we every time we run our wrap, that is the Race to Stop Suicide, we have we reference 988 because it is at least some instant, answered, easy easy to remember number. We were fortunate enough to be able to help launch that in July of 2022. It was July 16th when Daniel raced in the Montana 200 with Mark Martin as the crew chief, and all of that, was brought a lot of attention, and so it was, it definitely helps, but there's still so much to be done to get people to know about this number, because it's just really, it's only 3 years in the making. I remember when Daniel used to do public service announcements, and he had the 800 number memorized, but it was so hard. If you're in that situation and you've got something going on, or you have a friend that's facing a mental health crisis, 1-800 I don't remember is really the way it felt like. But 988, that one we can remember. And so I applaud the federal government for passing that, for manning it, for staffing it, for having people there to answer the phone, professionals who can help. And so, we will be doing an event. It's brief as it is, but all to call attention to 988.
Fantastic. And you said the event is going to be where?
At the dealership. We're gonna meet a few minutes before, and then we're gonna go for a walk, a little activity that will only last the length of time of the 9 minutes and 8 seconds, and then come back and go to work. But I will assure you, if you've ever participated in any of these things, and the one that's going to happen there in Flagler, I think it's on the 25th of September.
Right.
That is, you will forever remember. You'll remember it forever, and you'll be equipped. You'll have something that you can talk about that you didn't have before. And I always say, no matter where I go and speak, if you had a friend, a loved one that needed a mental health, was having a mental health crisis, what would you do? Where would you take them? Who would you call? And at the very least, the answer to those three questions, everybody can say 988. Maybe not. You don't know where to take somebody. Maybe you don't know what the emergency services might be, but you do know about 988, and I just encourage everybody to make sure you keep that number and you use it, and then learn as much about where you might actually physically be able to get somebody some help as well.
Well, a lot of progress has been made, a lot of awareness over the past 4 or 5 years, but it's still a problem. And it seems to be strongest in young people, Randy. I mean, it seems to be gets younger all the time almost. But at least we've got some answers with 988, and it is making a difference. But we got to keep on rolling, don't we? Yeah,
I mean, I think that the trouble is that what we're fighting with young people is the activity. They get a lot of information from social media, which is really, it doesn't have the level of interaction, personal interaction, emotional connection. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. It desensitizes people.
Right.
You grew up, and I grew up, and we all grew up out with our friends and in the country and playing ball and going fishing and whatever little mischief we got into. Not much of it was ever anything to be too troubled by, but we were personally interacting with one another. It doesn't happen a lot today, and so people end up missing that component, and so what ends up happening is people say, "Well, it's not going to matter. I'm better off if I'm not here," and all these things that are all wrong, that are really portrayed in the wrong light on social media, cause somebody to make a decision that just it didn't have to go that way. Exactly.
Yep. When we were growing up, you and I both, we just never really heard about suicide.
No.
didn't. I'm not a huge fan of social media. I mean, I know it does some good, but it definitely plays a part. There's no doubt about that. So, well, thank you for all you do. It's great that you're going to be having a great event on September 8th at the dealership. Is the NASCAR truck still there?
It's still sitting here in the showroom, the one that the colleague racing made their announcement with. So it's sitting here, and I walk by it several times a day and just shake my head. After all these years, it's like, really? So, yeah, it's I mean, today I've been by it several times, and I just kind of go, wow, hard to imagine.
Almost makes you want to pull up a chair and just stare at it for a while.
I do. It stops me in my tracks. You're 100% right.
Well, it's a beautiful truck, and it's a Ram truck too, by the way. And we'll be covering lots of news on that as we go into 2026. Randy, we talk about when we don't talk about IndyCar very much. So let me roll out with this, and then I want to talk about some ratings and the effect that ratings are having, and what about the playoffs and so on and so forth. But Will Power with Penske Racing, he's the fourth all-time race winner with 44 wins, and some changes happening at Penske, but they're going to part ways. I was surprised. I saw a couple interviews with Will Power, and it almost seemed like he was a little surprised too. Kind of some sad news. He's a great a great race car driver. 44 wins in Indy. That's a bunch.
Well, I think the interesting thing, I understand, probably over the years of those 40-plus wins, he was courted and recruited and solicited and all those words by other teams, and he stayed with Penske.
Right.
And it's pretty clear that he anticipated finishing his career with Penske, and I mean that's I think that's the reaction. I'm shocked, but on the other hand, you got to know the Penske organization is really all about performance and performance today, and what that performance costs and costs them. And so I completely understand Will Power's reaction. I also understand the Penske model it's pretty black and white, honestly. So if you don't perform, or if you cost too much money, you probably it's probably not a real comfortable place to be. And I think there's no question Mr. Penske's in charge, but I also think there's some transitioning going on, and
right.
You can see it. So who knows how that's all going to shake out.
Well, I think you would agree there is some pressure, whether you're playing for the New York Yankees or you're driving for Roger Penske. Like you said, there's a lot of responsibility. So Will Power be missed. Don't know where he's going to end up. Whatever. He's not a young guy, but we'll see what happens there. But this kind of rolls into ratings, and we don't typically talk about IndyCar that much, although we are, of course, fans of racing and of IndyCar. But the final race of the season drew 1.1 million viewers, and that was in Nashville. Even though, Randy, that the champion had already been announced weeks back, Alice Palou, weeks ago. The broadcast did not go head-to-head with NASCAR or the NFL, and it was the third most-watched Indy race of the season. So that being said, then we look over at Darlington, the Cup race. That was on the USA Network, and it drew 1.88 million, and the number went up some toward the end of the race. That was down from the spring race, which pulled 2.4 million in Darlington in the spring. So I guess my point is, and a question to you as a expert, I would say, and a fan since you're small and involved in the sport heavily, as we well know, is it a big deal? Do the playoffs necessarily pull a lot of television viewers? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about, it comes down to that Homestead or Arizona final race. A lot of fans don't like that. A lot of fans have the playoffs. I'm a guy that, we follow the program, of course, because of the show, but I'm a fan. But the playoffs, in my opinion, and it seems in some interviews with race fans that, hey, it's more important to see my favorite driver, whether it be Chase Elliott or I know when Dale Jr. retired, the ratings the next year were way off. So is it more about your favorite driver and where he goes and, the Darlington spring race, not in the playoffs, and the ratings were higher? I don't know. Tell me, what's your thought there? You've been watching it a long, long time, and is this point valid?
It's a complicated cocktail, I think, several ingredients. But so with regard to the national ratings for IndyCar, remember now Fox owns a piece of IndyCar,
right.
And you're going to see you're going to see them make an all-out effort to help improve the IndyCar ratings. I think if you hear what you said, okay, they got 1.1 million, and then the Cup race 8.8 in Darlington, which is down from the spring, which basically doubled the current IndyCar number you just gave.
Correct.
And I think what you've got is an emphasis on Fox to elevate IndyCar. You have football starting. It's well on its way. There's a big bunch of activity around college football, NFL football, for sure. So I think you got that piece of it. And in terms of the Cup Series goes, I still think you have to. We've been talking about this, and their experiment or their monetization in segments of their schedule is it can be a factor. I don't think. I notice you should. Yeah, I'm sure you notice too. There's a lot more emphasis. There's a lot more commercials. There's a lot more promotion of IndyCar on Fox than there's ever been. And if that doesn't make the number go up some, nothing's going to.
Correct.
So I think our sport, and I love all motorsports, by the way, and I think the thing that you got to be careful about if you're an IndyCar or others is, you can't instantly expect to get there. You can try to be making gains, and how do you attract the fans? And some of that, by the way, I think is actually the competition itself. The competition, it's hard to identify with IndyCar as a person. How does that fit into me? So I think the answer is it doesn't. You don't want to try to make it real because it's not real for most people. IndyCar is not real, whereas NASCAR can have a sense of reality to a person because they can get in their car and it looks somewhat like the cars that are out on the racetrack, and they can sort of. So there's two different things going on.
Yep.
I think while we're talking about ratings, I think it's going to be very interesting. And I can't make the prediction, but I think it's going to be very interesting how you brought it up earlier, how the Ram return to NASCAR affects the overall ratings for the Truck Series. I believe it's going to be positive.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. No doubt about that.
Now, here's the interesting thing: the Truck Series is on Fox.
Right, Fox Sports 1. Exactly.
Yep. So complicated.
You know, just interesting to look at it, and you know, since we've been talking about rating so much, it was interesting that it came up. There's lots of guys in the media talking about it, and like you said, there's so many factors. I think you hit on a real point. The NASCAR fans are really kind of a different breed in some ways than the IndyCar, and of course, it depends on the market, et cetera. I mean, Nashville, big market, depends on a lot of things, lots of things, no doubt about that. So. Again, I think you make an interesting point to watch what happens when Ram trucks hit the track next year in 2026. I think it's going to make a big difference. I think there's a lot of young fans that we've not seen before at the racetrack that'll be there. So we'll watch and see. Which brings up, you mentioned the NFL, Randy. It brings up an interesting question. I'm wondering, have you gotten your invitation at this point to the Taylor and Travis wedding coming up?
It's probably not necessary to send one to me.
Well, okay. I just checking.
There's a couple reasons why.
Yes. Well, I've got more than a couple reasons, but anyway, that's all we'll say about it. It was just a side note question. You know, sometimes if you're a batter and you're hitting a Yankee Stadium, you'll get a knuckleball every once in a while. So
once in a while. You know what? I'm glad you said that. 'Cause I don't know if there's anybody out there throwing one these days.
No, you don't hear about the knuckleball anymore. Holy cow! You don't. You just.
How about Hoyt Wilhelm? You remember Hoyt Wilhelm throwing that knuckleball?
Yeah, I mean.
Yep.
When I played, we'd mess around with the knuckleball and how you throw it and all of that stuff. And if you could throw it well, that ball would do. It almost. We love the college female softball. If you are behind the plate watching that softball, it does move a lot. Well, the knuckleball would just go all over the place, no doubt about it. So I don't know why they don't throw it anymore. Anyway, too sophisticated, I guess. Anyway, speaking of sophisticated, let's go to a very sophisticated broadcast right now and do the local segment of the Trackside program.
One Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona in Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too.
That's right, race fans. Rain impacted the racing in the Daytona Beach area. Volusia Speedway Park Labor Day Classic, total washout. The next scheduled event is Saturday, September 20th with the Battle in Barberville. At New Smyrna Speedway, Family Fun Night was canceled. They're scheduled to go back on the track Saturday night with the Pro Late Model Challenge Twin 50, featuring Pro Late Model Sportsmen, Bomber Bees, and Super Stocks. Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola was able to get their races in last Friday night, with Mike Chadwick getting the win in Crown Stock number 1 and Chris Salter in Crown Stock number 2. Sportsman Charles Davis, Pro Truck Stephen Davis, and 17-year-old Seth Christensen gets the win in the Pro Late Models. And the next race at Five Flag Speedway on Saturday, September 20th with Outlaws, Pro Trucks, Sportsman, and Pure Stocks. And the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last Saturday at Darlington, Corey Heim gets the win. That's the first race of the playoffs. In the Xfinity Series at Portland, Connor Zillage gets another win. What a comeback. In the Cup Series at Darlington in the first race of the playoffs of round of 16, how about Chase Briscoe gets that win? Truck Series is off this weekend, back next Thursday night at 8 p.m. in Bristol at Race Scene on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity Series back on Saturday night at 7:30 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. That's on CW. Cup guys also at Worldwide Technology Raceway Sunday, 3:30. Attention everyone, that's on USA Network. All right, you know what? In that report, we and this is not the first time we've heard 17-year-old Seth Christensen winning the race, the late models there. Have we got another Connor Zillage coming up, maybe, Randy?
I'd say the likelihood of another Connor Zillage coming up is pretty slim.
Maybe Jesse Love then. How about that?
Yeah. Well, Jesse's a good racer, but Connor Zillage. I was talking to Kevin Harvick this week, Tuesday, actually, and we were talking about a lot of things, but one of them was Connor Zillage, and he is without a doubt, and we all agree, probably the best road racer we've ever seen. And Kevin's a very, by the way, he's a very analytical person. He doesn't just say things; he says things based on an analysis. And he talked about the way that Connor Zillage approaches road racing. He did not deny that Connor Zillage has a raw, natural, rare ability, but he gets he has a process that he uses, and Kevin Harvick really in his comments to me were how he believes that process is really, really a big part of Connor Zillage's success. So look forward to hearing him talk more about that. But I think the Seth Christensen, it's just so hard. I can remember, back in the day, you two, you played collegiate baseball. I played collegiate golf. You could argue whether there was some of that was even. I played in some events. I played on the back in the day. This will be interesting. The Nike Tour. That was the very first sponsor of the secondary tour of the PGA Tour. I played in some Hooters Cup events in around the country. That was the NGA, National Golf Association, from Hooters. And you can be really, really, really good in your own area, and then you start branching out, and you compete against others from around the country, and maybe in some cases other countries, and you recognize, man, there's some good competitors out there. And
that's right.
So it's one thing to hit 20 home runs in your own community. But then when you get out on the road and you start facing some of that other kind of pitching, it's like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yes, it's a wake up call. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll right in. And did you have something else, Randy, real quick?
Well, I just wanted to say, hey, looking forward to, we're planning on some changes for our show next year, and we're going to add to our local. As a matter of fact, it might even become the spotlight next year of the local section of the New Smyrna Quarter Midget Racing Association. We're going to talk to a few folks to see if maybe they'll be willing to be the sponsor for that organization and get some local racing results for those kids. They do a great job out there. It's the 25th anniversary of that racetrack, and we want to talk about it.
Well, that'll be an honor to do, no doubt about it. Looking forward to that, and lots of cool things that we're working on, ladies and gentlemen, to make it better for you with the Trackside program. So stand by. We're not sleeping, no doubt about that. With that, the trucks aren't sleeping either. Let's go to the truck section of the program.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Well, Randy, we like to talk baseball, and we're going, all three series are going next weekend to Bristol. And so I really like this one because, we had the Major League Baseball Speedway Classic in August. And so now they're scrambling to get ready for the weekend. Get this one. More than 200 workers from the Major League Baseball and 100 from the Bristol organization, those are operations and employees and contractors, have been working nonstop since the final out of the historic MLB Speedway Classic to change the facility from a baseball stadium back into its normal setting of a world-class NASCAR venue. So very interesting how you never know what you're going to get in racing and, well, in life. But very interesting how they're doing all this and the work it took to turn it into the Major League Baseball event that they had there, and then back to the Speedway for this weekend or for next weekend's racing. So a pretty big deal.
Well, and they lost a day because remember it was delayed. It was supposed to be on a night, and then it got rain delayed to the next day, and so they lost a day and all of that. So that didn't help. That didn't help. And if you got to look at that facility. It was not designed to be a multi-purpose facility. It was designed to be a racetrack, and they figured a few things out along the way. A football game. Now a baseball game, so it's a lot more work than turning let's say the Orlando Arena to a concert venue, to a basketball game, to an ice hockey game. I mean, that's what they do. They know and they understand, and they can do it quick because that's the way the facility was designed. That's not the way the Bristol Motor Speedway was designed.
No,
so
it's not.
It's a lot of work.
Exactly. 300 people plus working on it. And, of course, before we take a break, we have a comment from Danica, and she is asking, will ice hockey be next at Bristol? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll let you think about that. Don't go anywhere. We got lots more to cover as we head into Xfinity. You're listening to Trackside. We'll be right back.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
Well, Randy, I like this one. Colleague Racing back in the news today with Daniel Hemrick is going to be back with the season for the first time since the conclusion of the 23 season. He's going to be there on Saturday at Technology Raceway. And, this guy can drive a race car. It's going to be fun to see him back there. In the Xfinity Series, he had 9 top 5s, 32 top 10s. And right now in the Truck Series, he sits third on the playoff grid in the Craftsman Truck Series with McAnally Hilgeman. Obviously just one race there, but off to a good start. So pretty cool to have Daniel Hemrick back with Colleague for a race.
Yeah, I think he'll, he's obviously, I think he expected him to do what he's done. But I mean, I'm not surprised. Let's put it that way. And then to come back and run an Xfinity car for Colleague, it tells you a lot about the relationship too. That how it, it wasn't the way when he left. It wasn't a confrontational or an unpleasant deal. It was just what it was, and I think you got to appreciate that for sure.
Well, and he is, as you well know, certainly driving for a great team in the Truck Series right now with McAnally Hogerman.
Oh yeah. Bill McAnally does a great job, and I'm not surprised that he's got 2 trucks in the playoffs. You almost wonder about why the other 2 weren't, but Bill's a competitor, man. That guy he is a competitor, and so he expects a lot out of people. We were there. Daniel's first year with Bill McAnally was he made the playoffs. You'll remember, and and they both did their jobs. Daniel did his job, and the team did their job. It's great experience for sure.
And Helmerich will be in the number 11, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yep.
All right. Okay, well, we've got a lot to cover in the Cup section, ladies and gentlemen, so let's roll into it.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle. In auto racing, just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
Randy, I got a bunch of different, and we're going to cover a little bit more as we go, press releases. Spire kind of in the hot seat, if you will, or in the news a lot this weekend. Justin Haley looks like maybe moving on, not a definite right now, as Spire looks to possibly change something in the number 7. They've talked to Ricky Stenhouse, which Ricky Stenhouse still has another year to go in his contract, and with Daniel Suarez, which is a free agent right now. Nothing's been guaranteed in either direction right now. Ricky Stenhouse did come out and say he's probably going to stay with Hayek Motorsports. So we'll wait and see. But a tough position to be in if you're Justin Haley.
Yeah, I've heard this for probably 3 months. But I have also learned. Listen, especially through this Ram coming back into NASCAR. Holy moly, did I hear some doozies along the way. And so there's a lot of stuff that just never really happens. But one of the things that I had heard. So if you go to the Connor Zillage piece, back to him for a minute. So that's a Trackhouse relationship with Junior Motorsports. So it's not Junior Motorsports letting Connor Zillage go. It's Trackhouse moving him up. They have the rights to Connor Zillage. So I had heard that when they made that announcement, that Suarez might actually go drive the 88 at Junior Motorsports. I also heard that he might go drive the 7. I think Ricky Stenhouse, I was with him at the end of August here. I believe he'll stay put. So what's that mean for the 7 for Justin Haley? I don't know. I mean, it could be anything, honestly. He's had a couple of decent runs lately, so I don't know how that's all going to shake out. No, that's for sure. There's definitely some changing going on.
Right. Well, it'll be discussed many times as well, maybe depending on sponsors and, if it's Suarez, what he can bring to the table, et cetera. Lots of factors there, no doubt about that. But, it's kind of been floating around for a while, and these other 2 names just seem to come up this week. So we'll wait and see. I personally don't think that Suarez will go to the 88, but, hey, who am I? Just who knows? Well, let's look at, as we have to do, Randy, we got to look at this court case. We've been kind of holding on to see what the ruling is going to be, and finally it comes out. Judge Bell has denied the teams a request for a preliminary injunction since NASCAR has said it will leave the charters available should the teams win the lawsuit and be entitled to their return. So bottom line, they're not going to sell them. They're not going anywhere at this point. a lot of talk about, will it go down to the December date? Will there be a negotiation before that time and teams come to an agreement, et cetera? I mean, talk about lots of rumors and stuff. I mean, we're all kind of tired of hearing about court cases. We hear enough about that in politics, but we'll wait and see. Meanwhile, we've got an interview Eric Estep did, and talking to really the dollars behind Spire. And he has some comments about the meetings and et cetera. So I'm just going to, just a couple minutes long, just play this interview about Spire and see what your thoughts are, Randy. So here we go.
Quote from Spire Motorsports co-owner Dan Tauris, he who also owns the Cadillac F1 team, Andretti, who've been in the news lately, part of TWG Global, a massive enterprise. And in this quote, Tauris expressed disappointment with NASCAR and its leadership. He said, quote, "We had meetings with the NASCAR brass a few weeks ago, and it's how can we help? What we saw in court, what was released in that case, is very inconsistent with what NASCAR says privately. And so I need to understand, who am I dealing with? Which one is it? Is it the people we meet with privately, or is it what you say when we're not around?" Now, while Dan Tauris did not go into any specifics, there are several things from that hearing last week he could be referencing. Something called the Gold Codes were revealed. This was NASCAR's contingency plan in case the Cup teams had chosen to boycott races. Essentially, these plans would have replaced Cup Series teams with NASCAR-supported teams, with the assistance perhaps from Xfinity and Truck Series organizations. Towers could also be referencing texts that surfaced between NASCAR executives, texts that showed their frustration with how the charter negotiations were going a couple of years ago. And these texts also seemed to show that later charter drafts were less favorable to the teams. So there are a few things there that Dan Tauris could be referencing. Point is, this is one of the first times we have heard another Cup Series team owner publicly question or even criticize the sanctioning body since this court case began. There have been a few other rumblings, like Richard Childress last year explained that he felt somewhat pressured to sign the charter agreement when he did, or in court last week there were text messages between Spire co-owner Jeff Dickerson and NASCAR where Dickerson said that the charter agreement was fair. That was then. I wonder what Jeff Dickerson thinks now. We know what his fellow Spire co-owner Dan Tauris thinks. And Dan Tauris, he's the guy with the truly deep pockets. Tauris has invested into his NASCAR team more than many other owners in recent years, yet now here he is amidst this lawsuit publicly questioning NASCAR and its leadership. It's not a good look, to say the very least. Not a good look for NASCAR, I should specify. And Dan Tauris, speaking to reporter Jenna Fryer, did say that he hopes NASCAR settles with the two race teams before this goes to trial.
Randy, let me throw one more thing on you, just to make sure your shoulders are loaded heavily. A letter obtained by the Charlotte Observer with NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps directly addressing 13 Cup Series teams that signed the charter, saying to the effect, and there's a lot more detail to it, but charter teams will get more money if the front row and 2311 remain open teams. So I know it's a lot for you to digest and throw out, but I know you follow it. And from your experience, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think, number one, the reporter is he's sensationalizing. That's what a reporter does, sensationalizing activity. Interesting that the comment was he hopes that NASCAR settles with the teams. I think it would be really, in my opinion, it's on the teams to try to settle with NASCAR. They're the ones that created the action, not NASCAR. So if there's a settlement to take place, it really needs to be the two teams that have brought the action against NASCAR to sit down and say, hey, okay, we need to figure out how to do this going forward. As far as the comments relative to the remaining chartered teams to get more money, what they're basically saying is instead of you're dividing it up 36 ways, they're going to divide it up. 34 ways, I think it is. They're going to divide it up 30 ways. or 28 ways, the number of charters that are left. So I think that makes sense. I think that's remember a few weeks ago we talked about this action, and I said there were all the rumors about selling a charter and all that stuff. I said I didn't believe that NASCAR would do that with the pending litigation, and they came out and said it. They have a history. They're business people. They know what they're doing, but they also have a history, in my opinion, of being fair business people and smart business people. So I didn't believe for a minute that they were going to take these charters that all of a sudden they had and sell them while there was a legal action going on. Didn't think that for a minute. So I think this is no surprise. I think it's in the best interest of all parties that there does get resolved.
Right.
But I don't think it's on NASCAR to do it. I think it's on the teams who brought the action to do it, and at least to make the first offer to sit down and have a conversation. I'm not, and I don't want to be in the know on this issue. These are my own opinions, not based on anything other than watching what's being reported out there.
Well, that's absolutely. That's both of our point of view. We hear all this. We got our thoughts, and nobody really knows except the guys that are involved in it. One last question before we run out of time. Denny Hamlin said last week, if we are not able to get this settled and we don't get our charters back, we're out of business. Front Row and 2311. What's your opinion on that one?
I had a guy in Alabama tell me one time. He said, "Put your finger in a glass of water and take it out, and look at the difference it makes. There might be a ripple or two, but everything will calm down." So that's the same way. There are other people who will want to have charters that will race in NASCAR. As far as all this other stuff about contingency plans, if you're a smart businessman, you're going to have contingency plans. So I don't think any of this, it's no different than Major League Baseball facing a strike, or NFL players, collective bargaining agreement. It's all that same stuff. So I don't find any of those things unusual. I do want to say one more thing. I know we're getting ready to, one more change that we're getting ready to make. We're going to bring something to you either at the very end of the year, going into next year, or wait till the first of the year. But it's a wonderful couple minutes of mental health coaching, and we've been trying to figure out how to do this on this show for a couple years, and we figured it out. And I'm not going to tell you the name of it yet, but I'm going to tell you it'll be some of the best 2 to 3 minutes that you've ever spent, and it will further help you with what we talked about earlier, Terry. With 988, I think it's going to be a very, very valuable part of what we do at Trackside.
Well, it just raises a question, and we do run out of time on this, and this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it myself, and it's going to be very useful, no doubt about it. But I'm wondering if it's some of this seed was planted in your mind by my wife, who was saying maybe there's something we could do about Terry's mental state. Did any of that occur, or is that what started this?
I will say this, that this is, what are we in, 15? We'll be starting 16? Is that where we're going?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and this was supposed to be 6 weeks long. So, you definitely need some coaching there, bud. Or I do. Maybe it's me who bought into this.
That was my next question. Okay, who's here? I don't know for sure, no doubt about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will keep you posted. Real quick, Randy, going back to the local report, I guess you just didn't realize that I could sing, right?
Oh, my gosh. Please.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So, hey, hopefully we get out to New Smyrna Speedway and see some racing. And as you say, don't forget, USA Network is where you'll see the Cup race, and it's going to be a good one. Second race of the round of 16. We'll see you next week right here on Trackside.
Eat the racetrack, everybody.
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside, Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.